Hey guys, Vass here from Aussie RC Playground and welcome to another episode of RC Pit Stop. Today we are in the pit yet again, and what I'm going to be doing is swapping out the motor of the LaTrax Teton, or Teton, however it's pronounced. Might as well call him Titties really, because apparently that's what it means in French. So Titty over here has had its motor burnt up. Going to be swapping it out for another stock motor. Basically the truck comes with this battery pack that you see here. That's what it comes with. It's actually got a bit of damage on it already. I got a little bit of crack going sort of across there. So it comes with that and it works perfectly fine. However, I decided to go out and run it on this battery pack. Come on, focus. Do your job. There we go. Ran it on this guy. This is I think about $7 or $8 from Hobby King. It's a nice little, very small kind of battery pack. You can see just how tiny it is there. About the width of my hand. So I ran one pack through it and it worked fine. I changed battery packs, gave it to my daughter, and only a couple of minutes later the motor burnt up. So I am going to be swapping this guy out to brushless at a later stage, but I figured I would take you through the pain that I have to go through now of changing out a motor. And you can see that the motor that it comes with doesn't have any leads on it. You are going to have to solder them on. So we'll take the cover off. This is what we've got to be working with here. Everything is Phillips hardware, and it's all small Phillips stuff, so you are going to need a small Phillips screwdriver for this. So I've got one here. This guy is this is out of one of these tools, these dynamite type tools. A lot of people have got these. I got one myself. So I'll be using this and we'll get stuck into it. I will cut forward through certain sections. You're not going to watch me undo and redo every screw, so I'll cut and slice this up to try and make it nice and quick for you. So it looks like I'm going to have to take out a couple of screws here. So I know that there are two screws underneath, this one here and this one here, which hold on the motor, the actual motor plate or motor mount. And then you've got, I think it looks like 3 screws here. So I've got one here, I've got another one in there, and to get to that one, I'm actually going to have to take out this top guy here because it's kind of hidden in underneath this whole case that holds the receiver and the ESC in place. And then we've got another one back here as well. So hopefully once these 3 screws come out, or 4 really, and the other 2 underneath, I'll be able to take the motor out and be able to replace it. And you can see that the cables for the ESC are actually soldered on to the motor itself directly, so you can't really unplug it or anything like that. So that's what we're going to be working with. So let's get stuck into it. Alright, so we've got one screw. Now we're going to take out this top one here. This one, this cover come off, yes. Now I can get access to that one. Alright, so now I've got all my screws off. I should be able to lift this up. You can see that I can lift this up quite easily here. I don't think I need to take off anything else from there, but we'll see. And now this should just slide out. So here we go. There we are. So we've got a metal pinion just here. And yes, it's held on by a grub screw, which is good. And then we've got our spur gear in there, and as you can see, there is no clutch system of any sort there, so it's direct drive. It does run on ball bearings though. I can see a ball bearing hiding in there, so that's pretty cool. Well, looks like part of the motor. I don't know if the camera will focus in on that at all. There you go. You guys see? That's actually that was tucked in behind the motor there, so it must have fallen out, and it's actually scarred the plastic a little bit, so it must have been really hot, and that is probably why this no longer works. Looks like it's definitely part of the motor. I know that, I can tell. So now I can slide off the cover. We've got 2 more screws here, take these off. Might need a better screwdriver than this. Alright, so I've got myself a better screwdriver here. Let's see if I can take this off. Now, I haven't done this before, just so you guys know. So I'm doing this kind of blinded. Don't know how I'm going to go about. That's an interesting way of putting that in there. Okay. So now we need to take off the pinion as well. So we'll get this guy. I'm sure a lot of you have seen these tools before. Some of you may even have them. But I personally love this screwdriver. 1.5 mil. Let's see if I was right. Oh yeah. 1.5 mil. So I'll just undo this a little bit. Out comes the pinion. Got it. Alright, so we'll pop that aside, move these out of the way, and now we have our motor. So now we get down to the tricky bit, which is of course to take the motor out and see if we can resolder the new one back on. Alright, so now I've got my soldering station ready to go. Now, in case you guys are wondering what I use to do all my soldering, I'll bring it forward and I'll show you exactly what I have. Here we go. That's put it pretty much into shot. So I have this, which is like a little heat gun. You can control its temperature based on these dials here. So if I turn this on, might help if I actually turn on the power as well. So this will actually turn on as soon as I lift it. And you can see the temperature rising just there. All right. So now it's actually quite hot. So I use this for shrink tubing. So when I'm changing over Deans or changing the plug on an ESC, I use this guy. And then of course here you have your iron, which is this guy here. And you know, it actually came with a variety of different tips. I find this tip to be probably one of the most useful. I do sometimes change it out to a smaller tip, which is in there at the moment, for more fiddly stuff, which I've had to do in the past. But I think for what I'm going to do, this might actually work okay. If I find that it doesn't, well, I'll swap out the tip, but we'll see how we go. So this is warming up. I'll just move this out of the way. I'll pop that probably just out of shot there. And here we go. I'm going to start doing this on the motor. Now, I've never actually done anything like this live on camera, so forgive me if it's not all perfect, but we'll see how we go. I'll just try and get this taken off. So I'll just put a little bit of heat on there and see if I can just undo this. And it's out. There we are. Okay, so we've got that one. So what we need to do is I want to try and keep this the same so that I don't stuff up anything. So obviously I'm going to be putting my black wire on there like so, and then the red wire on here. And actually a good thing here is they're actually marked. I'll try and show you on the motor, the new motor. You can see the little red dot there. So the little red dot, that's where my red wire is going to go. So logically the black wire goes on the opposite end. So that's good. And we'll try and disconnect our red wire. Pop a bit of heat on there. And it's done. Beautiful. So just move these out of the way. Get rid of the burnt up motor. And yeah, it does feel kind of ordinary. This one feels a lot smoother, has a little bit more resistance to it as well. This one, it's almost like there's no magnets in there. You can spin it freely. Can you guys see that? This one here, the new one, it's as soon as you let go, it kind of stops. So this is definitely a cooked motor. Pop that aside, and let's see if we can solder this guy back on. We'll get our little soldering cable. Okay, so we've got everything ready to go now. I've just mounted the motor kind of on top of my little soldering cable here, and I've put a little bit of extra solder in there, and just a little bit on the motor itself as well. So I'm just going to apply a little bit of heat. Hopefully this will bind nice and easy for us. And there we go. That was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. I'm going to do the same thing on the red one now. Hopefully this will work okay. So kind of singed the rubber a bit on the red one, but that's we can live with that. Okay, I'll just put a little bit on here and move that out of the way. Just put a little bit extra on there. Now, everything that I'm doing here, I've got to be very quick about it because the heat transfers through the wires very, very quickly. So just putting a little bit of extra on here. Just a bit of a dab. There we go. We'll clean up the tip. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I'm just wiping it here. I've got water on the sponge, so that just cleans it up, makes a nice hot surface. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and zoom in a little bit for you. There we go. And I'll move this forward a tad, so it's a bit more centered. Okay, so let's see if we can actually see anything here. Just applying some heat. Oops. Moving around a bit. And that is pretty much done. Wow. It's not exactly in the position that I wanted it to be, so I might just move it. That's better. There. That's better. Alright, so there we go. Nice and easy. Hopefully you guys got that pretty well. I can now turn off my machine, so that's all good to go. Now it's just a matter of mounting the plate back on, putting the pinion back in, and putting everything back together. So I won't bore you with that, but yeah, let's get to the finished product. Alright, so that's pretty much it. We've got everything done. One thing I realized is that you don't have to take out these bottom screws, so yeah, you can leave them on. I thought you needed to, but you don't. So it's just these 4 screws up the top here that you really need to worry about, and just lift up the top, and where you go you can change your pinion or change your motor if you do burn it out like I did. So the moment of truth is now to try it out and make sure that it all works. We'll plug our standard battery back in. I'm just going to hold the car like so. We're going to get our remote, turn this guy on, turn on the car, and we have power again, and we can run the Teton. So that is pretty much all the pain you have to go through to change out a motor, which, to be quite honest with you, wasn't really very painful at all. It was actually a lot easier than I thought. Very quick swap over. Even with filming and everything else, I think I've only taken about 20 minutes to do this. So very, very quick and very easy to do. So that is pretty much it, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Please be sure to check out Aussie RC Playground on Facebook if you haven't already. Don't forget to check out the channel for more videos on this truck and various other vehicles as well. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. I'll really appreciate the support. And that is pretty much it for another episode of RC Pit Stop. And I'll be speaking to you guys again very, very soon. Thanks for watching. See you next time.